Let's start. All right, welcome everybody. So this is Dave Espino, and I'm here with Filipe Goncalves of Goncalves Consulting. He's in Colorado, and he has a interesting strategy for organic traffic and organic attention, getting attention through organic means. Now, I've only talked to him just very briefly, so I'm just as interested and excited to hear about this strategy from Filipe. So why don't we just get started a little bit, Filipe? Tell us a little bit about your current business and what you do, and then how did you discover this mirroring strategy?
Sure, David. I appreciate it. Your invite when we first connect. I don't know exactly what was the group, but the way you presented what you do intrigued me. So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be here. So what I do, my agency, we help with business owners. And we help them predictably grow their revenue under 90 days, which is a business quarter. And we do it through mirroring. And the mirroring formula is something I've not just developed, but mastered and tested in all different type of niches. As long as the business is in the service industry, we can make client acquisition, revenue growth, a predictable outcome just by applying the formula.
Nice.
And how this happened, well, a quick story, my background is health and fitness. I'm from Portugal. I finished my sports science degree. I was 22. And at the age of 24, I left the country and started working on board the cruise ships.
Oh, okay.
So when I went on board the cruise ships, I thought I was just taking care of the fitness center and I'll do some personal training type work and classes here and there. But as I joined the ship, I realized that the main revenue model was free lectures, and then from that lecture you'd upsell, let's call it, right? Not today, I understand. Back in the days, I did not. This was 2011. So
right.
you would upsell a consultation, a small fee, and then that consultation would be upsell. The goal would be to upsell that to a program and a high ticket. Well, when I joined my first cruise ship, my English was the worst thing you could listen to. And my Spanish was the same because I joined in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay.
So I had to, right from the start, I had to learn how, even with poor English skills and such a young age, I was 25, how could I gain that credible figure from people who be like 40, 50, 60 years old, talking about health with broken English. How could I make it, right?
Right.
So obviously seeking for knowledge, seeking, mentors, lead books, courses, practicing. And I came across with the mirroring, that type of technique back in the 70s, 80s, they would use in sales. I look at more like a mimicking type thing, you move left, I move left, you move right, I move right, you touch the head, I touch. That's more like mimicking. But that was the first thing I was introduced to, when you can actually control how people perceive you.
Right.
As long as you understand what are the key principles that you need to have to create that resonance. So that's how I first started. Then I've done that till 2019, and then 2019 I moved into high ticket luxury industry.
Okay.
And then so I moved from a revenue goal of $10,000, $15,000 revenue a week to $500,000 to $1 million a week. So I wanted to experience, instead of doing a lecture for 40, 50 people, I would do for 400 or 500 people. So then what I would do, I would test what I was learning. And then I was able to filter this out and to really understand, okay, I can actually control a crowd of people and have them do what I want them to do.
Interesting.
So then what I decided was, okay, so if I can do it, let me see if I can actually teach it. So I started teaching the core principles to people who would have bad English. For example, I'll give you a good example, Dave. If you put a person from a country like the Balkans, they have a very specific type of personality. In front of a, let's say, American Canadian crowd or even English crowd, which they like gentle type thing, that the gentle type of and positivity. Well, there's a very opposite type of
Yeah, it's like a culture clash.
Culture clash. There you go.
Yeah.
So I would take that type of people and I would say, all right, listen, guys, they resonate with this, not with that. And I would teach them and train them, and they would do extremely well very fast.
Huh. Interesting.
So then in 2019, when I opened my agency, and I was always very intrigued with revenue and how can we actually generate revenue. One of my favorite books is The Alchemist.
Right.
You can generate gold out of bad iron or something, if I can translate this properly. I decided to ask myself, okay, how do I mirror people online? That was what triggers. So I start testing everything online, because one thing is when you have a crowd in front of you, other thing is you're a nobody online and try to mirror who's going to buy from you or has a higher chance of buying from you. So that's the story, David, and that's what I've been doing. And I've tested in the dating space, fitness space, B2B space. I mean, I've tested all over. And I can go into details on exactly how the formula is on a business perspective, Dave, but I appreciate the time explaining all of this.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's interesting that you learned mirroring as one of your earliest, I guess, strategies. When I was in my 20s, I attended a Tony Robbins event, and he talks very much about mirroring NLP.
Yeah.
And I used that in my face-to-face sales when I was in
Correct.
my 20s, and it worked so well. And so
Correct.
this is interesting to hear from you, an evolution of that and how far you've taken it. And I'm also curious to see how you use this online to build an audience or to get attention.
Yes. So, well, it all comes down to three concepts, right? And the concept one is the most important one. When I bring a mirroring student into the academy, well, the first thing you need to focus on and really create the first draft of is what I call the perfect buyer. And I try to really frame my student's brain to separate what ideal customer or ideal avatar is to perfect buyer, because there's a difference. So the perfect buyer, my definition, is the person or the organization or corporation that will buy the easiest and the fastest now. Easy, fast now. Now, of course, that's not the bulk of the market. It's actually the opposite. It's the little percentage. But that little percentage, someone that's going to buy now, it means that they are actively looking for the solution they want and you have. The only thing they do not know, Dave, is who or what the solution is.
Interesting. Yeah.
But the patterns of behavior show that they are actively looking for. So when we break down the perfect buyer, we go through the exercise where we don't really focus much on age and gender and country or those static metrics. We focus on, all right, what are the patterns of behavior your perfect buyer has actively looking for the solution you have? Meaning, if you can picture your perfect buyer right now online, where would a perfect buyer be? Which influencers would be following, listening, which books, which author, which questions would be asking, what type of communities will be engaged, and now what type of discussions would they be actually reading to figure out the solution they want that you have, right? And we create the first draft of that. And then how do we mirror that? Well, online, there's an advantage that you don't have face-to-face or in the physical world, which is you only need to control two channels to mirror someone, which how they see and how they listen. Correct? I mean, there's no smelling, there's no touching, right? So you just focus on two channels. The definition of mirroring is the subconscious replication of someone else's verbal and non-verbal signals. This sounds very complicated, but if you break down, a subconscious replication of someone else's verbal and non-verbal signals. Okay, so what we're looking at is this. Let's use a physical world. Let's say you go to a networking event, okay, Dave, and you don't know no one. You should go into that place, right? And you must agree with me that when we go into these type of events, we are a different person than when we are back home with our family.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
And the reason is because the number one function of our brain is to protect ourselves. So when you go into a strange place with strange people, in our brain, subconsciously, strange equals to dangerous, danger, right?
Yep.
So we go into those places and we put this character that protects ourselves. And back home, that character is not present because family equals to safe.
Right.
Right. So here's the question, right? How do we end up talking with certain people and we don't talk with other people in that networking event? How does that happen?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because I was just at a networking event and I spoke at the event. I was one of the speakers and I knew nobody there, not even the main person that was running the event. I knew a friend of hers, but he was out sick. So I totally understand the situation, and I tend to gravitate when I'm networking to people that seem comfortable. They seem approachable, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And gravitate is a really good word. Actually, that's a very good word. I normally say we're drawn to, but gravitate to people that somehow we resonate. And the opposite direction the same. So there was not just one side thing, it's actually
Right.
both gravitate to each other
Yep.
and both pushed away each other. So those you don't speak with. Well, that can be controlled. Right? That can be controlled. So,
Yeah.
so when we break down the perfect buyer and the patterns of behavior, two things you want to focus on is, okay, if your perfect buyer is is reading a how to go from A to B type of, let's say, piece of content, right? We want to understand, okay, would your perfect buyer focus on bullet points? Or would your perfect buyer focus on scientific type of explanation? Is your perfect buyer more of an engineer type brain that needs everything has to be very detailed, explains a systematic, rational type of speech? Would your perfect buyer resonate more with law of attraction, laws of the universe explanation type, maybe a mix of two of these? How would your perfect buyer resonate them? How does your perfect buyer consumes information when they are reading something, right? And the same with listening. If your perfect buyer is listening something, whether a YouTube influencer, a podcast, someone they are in a conversation, what type of tonality do they resonate with? What type of vibe, wording do they use? Like very difficult words, very simple words? Do they swear? Like, what type of speech do they resonate the most with, right?
Right.
So the first thing is we want to figure out the perfect buyer is, where is my perfect buyer actually looking for that solution? Okay, and then we choose one platform, social media platform. Right, so we are gradually moving into concept number 2. Just to make it very clear for you, Dave, and for your audience. Concept number 1, I call it, you must mirror your self-image. And you break down into, okay, who's my perfect buyer and the patterns of behavior, and how do I mirror? Right. Because mirroring is a subconscious replication, and as you said, well, people gravitate to what they resonate the most with and feel familiar with. When you mirror perfect buyer online, they will notice you. They cannot explain, but they will notice you. But the key question is, okay, but how am I in places that I know my perfect buyer is, and how do I get that attention? Right. Well, that's the concept 2. We must have a predictable lead generation system. And let's break that down. So I'm going to figure out where's my perfect buyer actually looking for a solution. So for example, if it's B2B, often LinkedIn is a very easy one. B2C, often Facebook is a very easy one, right? Yep. So let's use an example. What example would you prefer to use, Dave? That maybe your audience resonate the most.
I think somebody who wants to teach online courses.
Online course, okay.
Yeah.
Online course, I mean, do you want to teach how to make the course, or how to sell the course?
Teach how to make the course, how to make and sell the course.
That's Facebook. That's Facebook. Okay, so this person wants to learn how to create the course. This person has a gift, whatever that gift is, that skill, and they want to learn how to make the course. Okay, so what the business owner must do is think, all right, let's create the name John. I say, John is my perfect buyer, and John wants to create the course and wants to learn how to sell it. So where would John be asking for this question, learning and consuming that information, right? In this specific case, I'll tell you, it's Facebook. Okay, Facebook. Now, Facebook is communities. So we're Facebook, we focus on groups, obviously, but we have to be smart on how we approach the groups. What most people do, Dave, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me, people join groups and most of them, they do these three things: posting, right? They do posting, whether past story, current story, or how to, or some quotes, right? That's one. They blast friend requests. They like 20 a day, every day, to people that within the group, and they send cool DMs. Cool. We don't do none of that, right? Because we want to be seen as the expert. So what we do, we leverage what majority of people do. What I teach, this is powerful. I'm going to share with you this.
This is what I like. I like the good stuff.
This is the good stuff now, right? So I've tried to figure out the groups. Let's assume I found a few groups that the conversations are very targeted. And my question is always this: okay, would John be here, reading these posts and back and forth questions? All right, let's say most probably yes. Okay, so what I do now, and what the mirroring students, they do is they do not go and post. They step back and they analyze and they start scrolling through the posts within the group. And when every post they scroll through, they ask the question to themselves: would John, that's a perfect buyer, would John stop here to read this post, yes or no? Okay. And there's only 3 answers to this question: yes, no, or maybe. So if he's a yes or a maybe answer to that question, I see a post, would John stop here, yes or no? If he's a no, you keep moving. If he's a yes or maybe, maybe yes, I don't really know. All right, let's test it. What we're going to do, we're going to comment in that post. But when we comment, this is where the Jedi stuff comes in. When we comment, we don't just leave like an average comment. We are going to, I call the comment a mini piece of content. We are going to reply to that post, or to just drop a comment. That's a mini piece of content. But the way we do it is mirroring John. Like as if I'm speaking to John.
Right.
And the more I do this, the compound effect will happen. So if John, let's say, is an engineer type brain, let's just assume that, and everything is rational, super well explained, and 1 + 1 makes 2, and add another 1 makes 3, right? So every time I'm going to, see a post, I'm pretty sure, I think like this. Okay, I'm pretty sure John, if I picture John in Starbucks, scrolling the phone while having a coffee inside this group, and he sees this how to build your course within 3 hours, okay, I'm pretty sure John will stop here and start kind of look at it, right? So I'm going to drop my comment. My comment is mirroring John. I'm going to type exactly how John likes and resonates the most with. And that will, as I do that over and over and over and over, so the metrics are this. Do you want me to share the metrics, Dave?
Sure, yeah.
So measures are this. I call this process hunting with mirroring. So what's that? Is you find the groups, you find the post, and you comment. So there's 3 steps: hunting with mirroring. And every time you comment mirroring how John likes to read things, to consume information. Okay. So if you do 2 hours a day, it will be a bare minimum, very, very minimum of at least 20 comments. And again, comments not be like, oh, this is really good. Oh, awesome.
Right.
It's not there. It's like proper pieces of content. Okay. So if you do 20 a day, and if you just do a month as an example, 20 times 30, 600. If you do 1 post a day times 30 days, that's 30 posts. So you have a 30 posts, which just in the group, like everyone else does, it's noise within the noise. And you have 600 plus mini pieces of content within not just the group, but the post that you think John will stop and read, and mirroring John. So between 30 to 600, which we believe are going to give you the highest probability of attention?
For sure, 600.
That's 600, right?
Yep.
So the metrics we do is the mirroring students, they do 2 hours a day of hunting with mirroring. And the more you do, the more you understand what it works. There will be comments that you drop. There you have like 3 or 4 people commenting within that same comment. And now there's discussions, not on the post, but on the comment. And then you start figuring out, okay, when I say this, I create a lot of traction. When I say that, people ghost me. So you framing gradually that formula to your perfect buyer. And then what's going to happen, because you come as a solution provider, and Dave, you know that when someone has a problem, that's the tip of the iceberg, right? And if you fix that problem, they'll say, wow, that was amazing. Now they're asking for more.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen. What happened is, instead of us blasting friend requests, we start having friend requests. We don't do cold DMs, start having people DMing us. I say, wow, that was amazing comment. I see, you do this, you do this. What about this? Well, they start asking you questions because they look at you as an expert. Does that make sense? So of course, you are going to work on a profile, because the goal is for them to, from that comment and then a back and forth reply, they now really see, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, this lady or girl. And they click on your name and they step out of that noisy group, and now they move to your profile, not Facebook business page. I'm talking about your Facebook personal profile or LinkedIn personal profile, Instagram, same thing. So now they are actually going to your own place, and that profile has to mirror your perfect buyer. From the message statement of your service, to the colors you use, to what you say, to the content, if you're saying something, the words you use, everything has to mirror John. So when he lands there, that internal sensation has to be like, wow, it feels really good, or she feels really good about it. And they start scrolling in your own profile. And that's what you want. That's fast and predictable targeted attention. That's the hardest thing to happen.
That's amazing, because you're really you're tapping into the power of groups. You're tapping into the power, in effect, it's like free advertising, but only to the best perfect avatar, right? The perfect customer. So I love that. And as a copywriter, I'm curious about what kind of a post is it? Is it answering the question?
It's a very good question, Dave.
How are you positioning yourself as an expert? Do you leave a little tease to, like, there's a lot more, but I can only share this much with you? Or
all right, so there are 3 types of posts you keep seeing. Storytelling, this was me all depressed, now this is me all amazing, right? And they're what I call the painful posts, because sometimes people, 2 reasons: either they are actively looking for the solution or just attention seekers, one of the 2. They say, hey guys, I'm really struggling with this, what would you do, right? So painful post. And the third one is the how-to post. This is how you are going to go from A to B. Those 3 types of posts, right? So we use the 3, all of them. Now there's a specific way of doing it, the commenting, and I call the 1, 2, 3 formula. The 1, 2, 3 formula is, if someone, I'm not joking, David, what I'm telling you today, people can just take and actually do it. The 1, 2, 3 formula is extremely powerful. You always want to be in control of the reaction of the person going to read this. So how do you do it? Well, the first thing is the step 1. Step 1, you are going to match the emotion of the post.
Got it. Yeah.
You match the emotion of the post. So if it's a celebration post, well done, John. That sounds amazing. Back in the days when I felt the same, oh my God, I can today even remember. Wow. So you open, right? If it's a painful post, hey guys, I cannot close clients, I cannot find people, I cannot lose the weight, cannot find a girlfriend, whatever that be, right? And that's painful. I can see you match the emotion. That will create an opening, meaning the person who's going to read that will feel that you understand.
Right.
Okay. Then step 2, content. If it's a painful post, or like how do you do, or even if it's a storytelling, or if it's a how-to post, it doesn't matter. You're going to share what is your perspective around the subject that is being discussed in that post. So that's concept 2, step 2, which is content. You're going to provide your very best content around that specific subject, because people are going to read and say, wow, this makes a lot of sense. So you show that you know. And then it comes step 3. So you break down, you separate like paragraph, paragraph, paragraph. Step 3 is question. You're going to ask a question. You always finish with a question. And the question has to be related to the person's and or the person's situation. So for example, let's go back to the course creation. All right, guys, I'm about to launch the course next week. I'm nervous on which social media platform should I use to promote my course, right? That's a good question. That's more like a seeking type of orientation. And then the first thing I'll do, match the emotion. Hey, John, that's fantastic. Well done on being so close to launch your course. It's going to be, a lot of fun. Step one.
Right.
Step two. Well, depending on the niche you're in, if it's B2B, maybe I would definitely, or not maybe, I would definitely, because you want to sure I would definitely use LinkedIn. If it was like a B2C, I would either go to Facebook or to Instagram. But maybe in order for me to give you better feedback, let me ask you, what is the niche you're involved in?
Okay, so you're engaging in conversation.
Engaging in conversation, now you're in control. What's going to happen is this, right? I'm talking to the person who posted, but does not mean I'm actually talking directly to that person. I'm talking in a specific way that will resonate with my buyer, perfect buyer, which is John. What happened is, like, John, when lands on that course, maybe John's going to launch his course soon, or maybe John is thinking like, maybe I should try this, man. Everyone talks about LinkedIn, everyone talks about what should I do, or TikTok, whatever that be. And then it would maybe most probably stop on that post because the question resonates with him as well. So now the subconscious replication works as the Jedi. That's why mirroring is called the Jedi mind trick. So the subconscious replication is where is like somehow our brain will always notice what's familiar to us. So John, let's say Mark posts that question. I reply to Mark, but I'm mirroring John. I'm talking to John, replying. I'm just leveraging Mark's post.
Yeah, we know John is a voyeur and he's listening in on the conversation.
And then there you go. And then John will be drawn to my comment. Wow, because I spoke to him the way he likes to read things.
Yep.
And that's how you do every day. And that should at least 20 a day. There's ways then you can make more, but then you start having, a ridiculous amount of traction. People commenting, people sending friend requests, and then we do the farming. I call the farming with mirroring. So hunting and farming, there's 2 steps. The farming has 3 steps as well, which is you reply to the comments, because most people, there's 80% at least, they'll reply. 80%.
Yep.
So they're going to say, "Oh, wow, that's really good. Okay, so I'm in the dating space, and I'm sharing how men can find women, whatever. For example, good, perfect. Thank you for sharing that. So in that specific case, I would try this, question again.
Yep.
Right. So now there's a conversation, there's a connection, and I'm starting filtering the person, and other people can still keep looking at that conversation. So the farming with mirroring is you reply to comments. Then you start having a lot of friend requests. You are going to filter those friend requests, and then you go Messenger or Instagram text or LinkedIn text. The same thing. It works on the 3 social media platforms. So that's the farming. So the hunting, you hunt for the groups, the post, and you comment. The farming, you reply to the comments, you filter the friend requests, and you are on Messenger one-on-one. That's the last step before the call.
Wow.
That's when you can go private.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you take it from there. And I'm curious, it sounds like you teach this already, right?
Yeah,
we have quite a lot on this, or do you do that as an agency, or?
We have the Mirroring Academy.
Mirroring Academy. Okay. Yeah. Mirroringacademy.com.
Correct.
Nice.
So the students can go through the videos, and then I do one-on-one guidance for them to make sure that we break down each step. Just to finish, Dave, the concept 3 is a profitable sales process. Like, how do I take a target, a stranger now, into closing a deal? So that's and keep using mirroring. So now, when you spoke earlier about the one-on-one mirroring, we use that. But in order to get the one-on-one mirroring, we need to get the one to the masses mirroring. So the one to the masses mirroring, we give us fast target attention. And then what we do, we filter that attention to understand, okay, is maybe a future buyer, maybe a no buyer at all, or a perfect buyer. And if it's a perfect buyer, then we guide them to the call and the negotiation, the closing. That's the concept 3. So just to finish, Dave, is mirror self-image, predictable lead generation system, profitable sales process. Those are the 3 concepts the mirroring formula relies on. And so yes, the Mirroring Academy, they go in, they have the videos and the worksheets, and there's the mirroring inner circle. It's a private, obviously, inner circle where different business owners are. People are just crossing 5 figures. People are doing quite a lot more, multiple 5 figures. $500,000 a year just with organic work, no paid ads. And I do one-on-one guidance mainly in the beginning for them to really sink the formula, test it, understand what works, what does not work. And then once he's nailed it, now they can replicate and teach to their own team, and then have their own team doing the same thing.
Right. Wow. That's amazing. It's amazing how far you've come from the beginning, of learning just the basic idea of mirroring, and now how you use it through every phase of this, let's call it a funnel, right? Because it's a sales process all the
Correct.
way through. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool what you've figured out.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I
Thank you.
love watching, I love learning new strategies, techniques. I think that's probably how we connected.
Yeah.
So it's really good to see that there's something original out there, right? It's not just that you've figured out a way to tap into social media, different platforms and things like that, but you've got a whole system. It's all systematized, which is
Correct.
awesome. Awesome.
Correct.
So when you work with different students or clients, I believe you said that this can work for any business, right? Any type of business out there.
With extremely high level of efficiency and very, very, very predictable. You can actually project numbers with
Mhm.
just 2 hours hunting a day, one max 2 hours of farming, because the farming is based on how much noise is around you now, how much attention you have. So
Right.
it goes max 1 to 2 hours. That's total of 3 to 4 hours a day max. That's 15 to 20 hours a week. All these numbers are tested. So
Mhm.
15 to 20 hours a week, you can invest in your business as time invest and energy focus, and you'll be crossing 5 figures without any problem on a monthly basis if you're consistent.
Right.
So in the service space, these
Right.
numbers I can tell is predictable in the service space. In the product space is different industry. So I cannot say that organically we would have that same results.
Right.
I have not tested at the level this more than mastered in the service space.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any particular product spaces where you think this would work the best? And are there any particular service industries where you think this works the best?
The service industry, which is the one I've tested pretty much everywhere, from low ticket to high ticket, I would tell you that high ticket works extremely well, because normally who sells high ticket, they know who they are dealing with, what they really want.
Mm-hmm.
Low ticket, they're kind of trying to figure out things and they don't really know exactly
Right.
what they want. So they don't even know what they're looking for. The high ticket buyer, like, I have a high ticket service, I want to sell it, but maybe I don't know how, for example. Like,
Right.
then they are looking for the how in a very specific way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to spot them. So yes, service high ticket mirroring formula is, and maybe I'm biased, Dave, maybe I am, but I haven't seen anything as profitable and predictable in the organic type of game as the mirroring formula, because you can easily connect the stranger today, within 3 days you close into your program. That's like
Wow.
as fast, because again, once they resonate with you, social proof, if you have social proof, meaning you know exactly what maybe you have testimonials, you know exactly how to present your service, and your content is phenomenal, you give them the solutions. Social proof, the emotional proof is done by mirroring. Like, they feel good, the gut feeling is there, like, oh, I feel really good about this person. Emotional proof, social proof is enough for you to close a deal.
Yeah.
In the product space, I have not tested enough to say, well, I think it could work here or there. Because again, yes, in a one-on-one, it can work in any scenario.
Right.
But in the product space, it's rare the business that does organic promotion in the product space, Dave, isn't it? It's more like
Right.
they place ads and run the ads and let's see what works, and let's work on
Yeah.
that data. So
Yeah, that's more like an e-commerce play. But I come from the world of online courses. That's why I asked for that example, right? And I think it would be really amazing for an online course seller, because people are looking for a solution, and your course has that solution. And so you could just mirror, you could put those together, right? You could put that perfect buyer who's looking for that solution, who's stuck in whatever, whether it's fitness, health, money, dating, whatever, right?
yeah.
And you just build enough of that know, like, and trust factor, and they see your Facebook cover or whatever,
Yeah.
and then they're in your funnel, right?
Correct.
And that can work for high ticket courses as well, because high ticket courses usually requires a phone call or some
Yeah.
kind of further
Yeah.
further warming up of the customer. So yeah, pretty awesome.
The product, physical product, I'll tell you where I believe it could work in art type of
Okay.
world.
Yeah.
Again, why? Because the people who are going to buy that art, let's say you're a painter or a sculptor, you create sculpture, right? People who buy that, they have a very specific type of behavior looking for that. So
Right.
you as a marketer that sell your physical product, you can easily spot them
Yep.
when they're actually looking for something you can provide or create. So that, because you always come back to, okay, what's the behavior of my perfect? How does my buyer act
Right.
looking for it? And if he's a clear type of behavior, you can easily get it.
Yep.
Yeah. So in the art world, I can see easy, that I haven't not tested, but I can see that could be quite easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Felipe, I appreciate your time here. It's been amazing.
No, thank you, Dave.
Tell us a little bit about your your Mirroring Academy. Tell us a little bit about that and what you offer there and how they can find you there.
So the Mirroring Academy is defined is quite easy. Mirroring Academy altogether.com. Okay. And again, we mainly focus on the service space, and we focus on those business owners who want to bring revenue, but they don't know how to do it predictably. And they don't want to go into ads yet, right? They are not, maybe they haven't the budget for it, or they are not feel confident enough to go to it, but they want to have a predictable formula that they can invest X amount of time and they know they're going to have a return predictably, right? So we can do that within 90 days. One business quarter, they are having deals, and that our average is 3 to 6 weeks. That's between those who no sales to those who have no sales at all, right?
Right.
So what we do, we have the academy with all the content, and there's videos, there's worksheets. They see me doing it, like how do I do, and actually see live. And then with everyone who joins the Mirroring Academy, I take them directly through the main steps in order for them to learn, not just learn, but actually sink in the skill. Right. So from break down who the perfect buyer is, to then learn how to mirror the perfect buyer, to then go hunt and farm, whether on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. So for example, it's very important, this one, we don't rely on algorithms. We don't rely on changes. All we need is people. So we leverage the platform that we know based on the, figure out my perfect buyer is and the behavior that we know our perfect buyer is actually looking for a solution. Once we know that, we go there. So we actually do with them, we make sure they sync that hunting farming type skill. Then they start having attention, that attention leads to calls. We teach sales, we break down to scripts, tailor those scripts into their own buyer. We then roll call, whether directly with me or with other mirroring students that more experience. And everyone who joins the Mirroring Academy, they have access to the Mirroring Inner Circle. And to both the Academy and the Inner Circle, they have lifetime access, because the community that grows, and everyone they're expert in their own niche, right? But everyone uses mirroring, so they expand and it creates a really cool community.
Yeah, I could see the synergy from people learning from different industries and different techniques that they're using.
Correct.
That's great. Well, Filipe, thank you so much for taking this time. I know you're a busy person, and I appreciate you taking the time to teach us the mirroring example. And for our viewers out here, if you'd like to learn more, just visit mirroringacademy.com. That's Filipe's business. Thanks again, Filipe. It's been a pleasure to meet with you, and I look forward to learning more from you as we go on.
Thank you very much, Dave. I appreciate your time. It was a pleasure to join you.